Because we don't stop talking for 2 straight hours, this is MuggleCast episode 244 for November 20th, 2011. This week's episode of MuggleCast is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature, including fiction, non-fiction, and periodicals. For a free audiobook of your choice, go to audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast.
Welcome to MuggleCast's big Deathly Hallows Part 2 DVD commentary. We've never done a Harry Potter commentary before this, so this is exciting. Eric and Micah and I are here. And how this works is you get to watch the movie along with us. And to start out, we have to sync up the film, so everybody is watching the same exact thing, the same exact frames. So the way we're going to do that is ask you guys listening at home, put in your DVD, and it has to be the DVD version, by the way. It can't be Blu-ray. And hit play to start the movie. And once you see the water, the very first frame, once you see the water, press pause. And then we'll tell you in a moment, on 3, to press play. Okay?
Before we start the commentary, we'd like to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature, and featuring audio versions of many New York Times bestsellers. For listeners of MuggleCast, Audible is offering a free audiobook so you can try out their amazing service. One audiobook to consider is A Game of Thrones, the first book in a Song of Ice and Fire series by author George R.R. Martin. In a land where summers can last decades and winters a lifetime, trouble is brewing. As the cold returns, sinister forces are massing beyond the protective wall. To the south, the king's powers are failing, with his most trusted advisor mysteriously dead and enemies emerging from the throne's shadow. In this land of extremes, plots and counterplots, soldiers and sorcerers, each side fights to win the deadliest of conflicts, the Game of Thrones. Recently adapted into a television series by HBO, immerse yourself into the world of Westeros before Season 2 hits screens this March. So why not get it for free and listen to it just like you do MuggleCast? To do so, or to grab any book of your choice, visit audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast. Again, that's audiblepodcast.com/MuggleCast. We thank Audible for supporting the show.
So, on 3, we're assuming now you have it paused to the very first second that you see the water.
Pause to have it, very first second.
Right. And then on 3, in a moment, press play. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, everybody should be beginning now. Yes?
Yes, very eerie music.
Yeah, I need to put my headphones in. I just realized I haven't done that. Oh, there's the Jenga puzzle. And what we'll be doing this whole time is just talking about the movie while it's playing. Hopefully we have things to say about it, or else this is going to be a bunch of commentary.
You got to remember not to watch the movie and just watch the movie.
Yeah.
So everybody should be seeing the WB logo now, yes?
Yes.
Yes, so let's talk about this. This WB logo, kind of the unexpected character in all of these films. It always looks different, right? It grows with age.
Yes.
I think in Half-Blood Prince it was rusty. What is it this time?
Well, it looks pretty put together, but it's definitely very dark. It's, I remember the first film, I believe, was a bright WB logo.
Yeah. I think the second film, it was up in the sky. I think that was when they really started playing with it. It was above Little Whinging.
Mm-hmm.
And
this
right
music...
now, you're hearing what David Yates spoke about in our interview. That woman that they flew in all the way from Japan.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. I love it so much. And that shot of Snape is so iconic. And didn't he say just the other day that they were thinking of getting rid... or in the original script, they didn't have Snape, but then Yates insisted on it, I think.
Yeah, because he wanted to set Snape up as sort of one of the main characters of this act.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, if they didn't open at Hogwarts, the good thing about them opening at Hogwarts is that Harry Potter Part 1, Deathly Hallows Part 1, doesn't have any Hogwarts. So people have just gone, if they're doing a marathon, they've gone 2.5 hours without Hogwarts. It's so funny that they had to fit Hogwarts in the first few frames of the second film, because it's just like, there it is.
Yeah.
You just feel so like you're watching a Potter film again.
And it was very clear that now Snape is in charge. So it was a good reminder.
So
as
now
well.
we're at Shell Cottage. We just got a shot of Harry looking into the mirror, seeing Aberforth.
Whenever I look back at this scene, whenever I watch this scene now, I think of all those paparazzi photos that came out of that when they were shooting this exterior and Bellatrix was there and Griphook.
Luna.
I remember Ivana, I think at LeakyCon, she was like, I have the first line of the film.
Which was funny.
Yeah.
Also, it's good to see Bill and Fleur.
I love how their house has no the ceiling is clear. You can see right through it. It's just windows.
There's no privacy.
Yeah, at least that part of it.
Harry's not in a good mood.
Griphook looks like he's meditating a little bit here.
I think he is, right? I mean, what the hell else could he be doing?
Sleeping.
Oh, is that how they sleep like that?
Warwick Davis just passed out mid-scene.
Yeah, they poked him under, beneath the camera. And
oh no, what's my line
away.
again? Crap.
It's the interesting thing is that he's still got his wound from Part 1. It's just being consistent. Where Bellatrix slashed him with her dagger on his cheek.
I like the fact that they kept this line in "You buried the elf" because it showed kind of Harry's personality, and they tried to make that apparent that the Goblin in the books was very surprised by the fact that he showed that kind of treatment towards a creature.
Yeah, because Griphook's all about the humans subjugating lower wizards, and by all about, I mean all against. It's one of the reasons that maybe it's the only reason that Griphook even helps Harry, which is very important. That line that they added, "It's complicated." What do you think about that? It kind of, I like that it sums it up really, like gets it accomplished.
I gotta be honest, I found this whole scene to feel very scripted. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, just the way they're trading off lines and this complicated thing. I know that usually got a laugh with audiences. I don't know. I wasn't too big a fan.
I know what you mean. Because, I mean, isn't this a sequence that takes like weeks in the book? Hallows and Horcruxes and Griphook and Ollivander and figuring this all out. But it's very clearly the beginning of a movie now. Because, like you said, things are very snappy.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely Warwick Davis, the makeup here, and there are a few special features not on the DVD, but that you can find about those, prosthetics and stuff, and it's just amazing.
He
amazing
loves
process.
talking about it.
Yeah. Well, you sit under it for 4 hours, it's like second skin.
Yeah, I guess you may as well make it worthwhile.
He tries to tempt him with gold.
Did Harry really think that was going to work? Was that in the book? Like, I'll give you money.
He works at a bank. He can get gold whenever he wants.
Right, yeah.
Even if it's not his. I'll borrow from this vault today. Another vault next.
They'll never know.
Is that what you think they do?
Well, they're not hurting for money, I don't think.
No, that's true.
This scene is purely for the audience to understand what's going on. Where the three are sitting there in the stairwell to, like, some little exposition for the viewers.
Yeah. And this is just interesting. It's like, Fleur is almost, I don't know, I don't really get this. She's like upset that they're being so pushy or something. She's just like, he's weak.
He's an old man, though.
Yeah, it looks...
Well, He is. Should they have, let's talk about that. Should they have made him more sprightly? Like he was in the first film? Or, like, is he too old? Did they overdo it?
No,
for
because
Ollivander
I think he's stressed. He, had to face Voldemort. I think he's just, he's just weak. It's kind of reflective of the film. You know how we were saying, like, the WB logo? It's like that, where, he's been through a lot in the past 7 years.
Yeah. That's true. It has been all 7 years since we've seen him.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, even the actor, I assume he's still a healthy man, but
that's what it brings into question, though. I'm just like, oh my God, poor Ollivander. But yeah, the other interesting thing here, and it's it's coming up when Harry says you're lying, about the Deathly Hallows. That's just that moment. It's.
Well, I thought this was a really crucial moment that people can miss if they weren't necessarily paying attention, where they're talking about allegiance of Draco Malfoy's wand and how it's sort of changed over to Harry now.
Here I was not paying attention to that. Yeah. It is important, and well, I mean, it's important in the way that honestly you get the explanation at the end of the film, so it's not really that important, but it's important for them to have put this in because it just shows again that they're following the books. Those of us that have studied wand law.
I was wondering, like with Griphook, I was wondering what Ollivander was doing before Harry walked in, because Ollivander was just chilling there in the chair. Was he counting the shells on his?
Fleur was in the room too. I don't know.
Right. Ooh.
Yeah.
Little TLC.
Whoa.
He is the wand master.
Playing with the Vila. Okay.
All right, Micah.
Yeah, all right. I'm done with the jokes for right now. More later.
Yeah, more later.
More to come in the second hour.
God, if we still did the caption contest, this would be a caption about the starfish on the left talking to the seashell. It'd be like, hey, I got to be in this scene. Yeah, my family's so proud of me. How about you, seashell? It'd be like, you may not know this, but I was actually at the hut on the rock in Sorcerer's Stone. So proud to be back. Yeah, but just Dan's acting, seeing how Dan's acting is improved, he's accusatory, but he's also sympathetic at the same time, towards Ollivander. And Ollivander just says flat out, he tortured me. What are you gonna do? But the inner jerk is about to come out when Harry leaves, obviously, but just right now, it's just so real. I was so glad that they got the Ollivander back, because I think David Yates talked about that at some point too, about not getting John Hurt back. They said they really wanted to get the first actor to show, because it almost doesn't work otherwise, because you can get an old man, you can get a haggard looking man, but unless it's the original guy who looked so different, you can't, it's not gonna, it can't resonate as well.
Well, and it's also kind of like it's a testament to how epic these films are. And we've touched on it before, how they've really been able to keep every actor. They haven't had to replace anybody. Of course, Richard Harris, unfortunately because of his death, and then of course Jamie Waylett because of his drug problems. He played Crabbe.
Drug and bomb
other
problems.
than that, that nobody had to be replaced. Nobody pulled out of the film saying, I don't want to do this anymore. It just shows how much the actors and actresses truly cared about this series and wanted to see it through.
Yeah. And this was actually what we're watching right now on the beach. There was a deleted scene or two that helped explain things a little bit more to the audience. And what did you guys think? Would they have made more sense being in here?
What was the scene with the two-way mirror, I think? A little more...
So, first it was... Actually, there were, 3 mini scenes, because it was Bill Weasley and Fleur. Fleur gives Hermione the black clothing, just like a black robe or black underwear that she has hidden away. Gives it to Hermione to dress up as Bellatrix. Bill cautions Harry about doing a deal with the goblin. He says to Harry, you gotta, really be careful how you worded it. And then the next scene is Harry at Dobby's grave. He's looking into the mirror. Ron comes up, I think. Or no, first it's Luna. He just talks with Luna. Luna is kind of on her way back to school. Great line by Ivana Lynch. She says, or he says, it won't be the same that it was since you left. And he's referring to Hogwarts, and she says, neither will I.
I think it would have slowed it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the pacing.
And that quick scene we just saw right there, Warwick Davis actually talked to you, Eric, about being able to go under the invisibility cloak and how cool that was for him.
He was happy because Griphook is a character, finally, that matters to the plot. And I think, he said too, he's enjoyed playing Professor Flitwick. He's enjoyed playing sort of other side, characters. The choir director in the third film, who was not Professor Flitwick at the time, they later molded the two characters, but characters who ultimately have no bearing on the main characters.
Right.
And sort of the plot, as it were. So I think it was rewarding for Warwick Davis, he said, to be in the kind of situation where you're affecting the plot, and also to ride under the invisibility cloak, as you said.
Yeah.
Because it's a status symbol of sorts.
And this whole scene right here, they basically reconstructed Gringotts from the first film, and I think if you have a chance to watch the feature, The Goblins of Gringotts, it really explains a lot about how they went about casting for this particular scene, and all of the goblins that you do see in this particular shot, as well as when you spoke to David Yates, he also mentioned how much work went into recreating the set.
Yeah, it's one of the classic stories of how, so much work goes into about 4 seconds on film. And I mean, this scene's a little bit longer than that, but just the idea, they actually had, I think it's 45 sets of prosthetics, 60 actors total, in this sequence. But about this scene, and how it relates to the book, this is obviously very, very different in the book. And in the book, doesn't she present her wand? Because she has Bellatrix's wand on hand.
Right, but she does now, because the scene we just saw with Ollivander, he checks and he says that it's Bellatrix's wand.
Yeah, but she doesn't present it here, and I think, isn't the reason that they know that Bellatrix, like the real Bellatrix, has said that my wand has been stolen, so if somebody does present the wand, then they'll know she's an imposter?
Yeah.
Is that how that works?
I'm pretty sure you're right. Now, this is just an awesome scene, and it would make a really cool ride. Andrew, I know you're pushing hard for this.
This is the ride right here. No, seriously. I mean, this is really what it's going to be.
Yeah. They would have to dig for it, though. It would just take...
I mean, they're halfway there with that Poseidon's Journey ride. I mean,
yeah.
All it practically needs is a new coat of paint. I mean, just kidding. They would have to actually knock out the building and everything. But
you're actually right, though. That they have... That's like a cave, isn't it?
Yeah, and imagine the ending of the ride where you're being chased by the dragon out of the cave, out of Gringotts. It'd be so cool.
I'm sold.
You go through the water. I mean, it would be a perfect interactive ride.
You really drop right here.
Yeah, you fall.
All your enchantments are washed away. Yeah. That should be how you get off the ride, though. The seats tilt forward.
It'd be cool if you had clankers, like you pulled them out of some area of your seat, and you had to shake them at the dragon, and if you didn't, like it would burst fake fire on you or something.
Oh no, you look like you again. Well, that was fun while it lasted. Facial hair.
I liked you better the other way.
Final Frontier. What are you lot doing down here? It's funny because the thieves' downfall or whatever washes away enchantments, but you can just go and shoot another spell and start enchanting yourself again as soon as you land. Because they Imperio him right away again. Oh no.
So were you guys really looking forward to seeing the dragon in this film?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't surprised by it because we saw it, beforehand. But
Now this
Going
would be
back
one
on
of the
the-
scenes, though, aside from the battle, that would probably be showcased in terms of special effects, right? For, let's say, the Oscars.
Yeah, David Yates drew attention to that too. He ranked it. Well, the Gringotts, the upcoming scene inside the vault, even on the DVD or the Blu-ray, I should say, in the documentary, they talk about how that was the most, or it's maximum movie mode, where they say that was the most difficult scene in the entire film to actually pull off. They had the most meetings about the vault scene. But regarding the dragon, David Yates had said too that there was a whole team devoted to it. And I think also in maximum movie mode, you see there's a particular moment where the dragon, when it finally escapes, has like this breath of fresh air, and that realism, like the idea that it just really sold it for the audience.
yeah, we talked about that on 242 as well.
I remember too, like the dragon. Just going back through MuggleCast, history, when we first saw it on the book cover.
Yeah, the deluxe edition, I think it was.
The deluxe edition book cover, and we didn't even know, that there would be a dragon in the book, right? That was the first kind of, there's a dragon in this book.
And then I remember somebody started looking it up. It may have been you, Eric. You may have been looking at dragons in the Wizarding World.
Yeah, we wanted to identify it. Because I thought I settled on the Antipodean opali. It's an Australian dragon with obviously like glazed over eyes, and we thought it was that because it kind of matched the description in Fantastic Beasts, and we know that J.K. Rowling wrote Fantastic Beasts with the rest of the series in mind, that there are creatures that we meet later that were written in that book before the books were written, but. However, what it ended up being, of course, was this Gringotts dragon, which has, glazed over eyes, but only because he spent his whole life underground. So it's not an Antipodean opali. It's who knows what kind of dragon.
Yeah, I think it was episode 99. We spent, you, Laura, and myself, probably over an hour analyzing that whole deluxe cover edition. I think it was one of the better episodes. It might actually be on the Wall of Fame. Or if it wasn't 99, it was very close.
I know 99's on the Wall of Fame.
I think we should also talk for a second here, because this is again
A
this
book
is the
change.
scene that had it's a book change. They don't remain trapped in the vault, and I don't understand why Griphook betrays them here. That because that line is changed too.
It's a little twist, I think. It's typical filmmaking. Oh, they trusted because remember Harry said just a few minutes. Just get us into the vault. We're trusting you. Griphook.
Well, that's where the key scene between Bill and Harry would have worked, because the viewers would have been able to recognize, Bill warned him about making sure you were very clear with the deal that you structured with Griphook. In terms of, I'll get you into the vault, but there's no guarantee I'm going to get you out.
I also think, and it's unfortunate to be this goblin here, for about 5 seconds, but then, I also think it's setting it up because later we have to see Griphook dead, so maybe, it just helps the audience not be very sympathetic about that. Because in the next scene, look at what, being greedy, getting Godric Gryffindor's sword really did for you, Griphook. Voldemort killed you all the same.
Yeah, in this scene, I thought we got a couple of emails about how people were disappointed because it was actually Ron's plan to get on the dragon, and they made it Hermione's in the movie. So it kind of making Ron appear not as intellectual, I guess, as he comes across eventually in the last book.
Yeah, that's exactly what the email said, and I remember that night. I just laughed.
It's
not that it's
awesome from the special effects standpoint, watching the dragon climb out here. Jurassic Park, here we come. Well, that's it. You remember when the T-Rex shows up? And you get those tremors? It's kind of like that.
It's exactly like that, yeah. It may almost kind of be a reference to that.
I expected like a glass of water, but of course the goblins don't
Watching
don't
this
drink.
watching this during the test screening was not fun because it was very much not complete. So like, it was just bad.
Oh, I loved that though with the subtitles.
Yeah, but
You know?
And here you go.
Is
Here's
dragon, is
this
it?
breath of
here's the
fresh
breath.
air.
Yeah.
Yeah, where is it?
We're about to get it.
Right there.
Hard day's work.
Look at that. It's
It's a
just
nice
panting.
break. I'm
It's
glad
just
they
like,
did that.
I made it,
See,
made
that-
it halfway.
You wouldn't have gotten that if they didn't split it into 2 films. That was a precious
Oh
couple
man,
extra
all those
seconds.
people's houses.
I know.
I hope they have dragon insurance.
No repercussions. It's sort of like when in Chamber of Secrets when Ron and Harry are flying through with the Fort Anglia and all the Muggles can see it, and like there's really no repercussions.
Yeah.
Unless did Snape say they had to wipe all the minds of those people? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of dragon insurance, do you think they have to be notified that there's a dragon in captivity nearby? All those shops. I mean, it's Diagon Alley. I guess they probably figure, right? Dragon insurance. Gosh. But dragons are actually banned from, the major populace in the wizarding world, aren't they? I mean, they're kept. Charlie works with them. They're kind of sheltered, or reservations for dragons. But on the whole, for obvious reasons, dragons are controlled. The population is very controlled by wizards. Oh man, this reminded me of the Locket strangling Harry in part 1, because again he's underwater and Voldemort has some kind of epiphany.
I love this scene so much.
Yeah,
the way they did the Horcrux, Voldemort's PO'd scenes with Harry's connection, I just thought were so well done.
Yeah, and it gives you deeper insight into the one that's at Hogwarts, but I like the change in the sense that Voldemort can feel when a Horcrux is being destroyed. I know that wasn't the case in the book, but I thought it worked really well for the movie.
it does work well in the film, and I think even Harry's little homing sensation, how he's able to find the Horcrux essentially in the vault by hearing it, listening for the little. But at the same time, then it also helps sell the fact that the part where we're eventually getting to, where Harry's a Horcrux, and it's one of those things that it was a choice that really worked. I think for the film, it just really, really worked because it helped them. It helped the audience to kind of understand without a whole lot of explanation that Harry had an unusual connection with them.
I wonder how angry they were that they had to probably jump in some cold water just for this scene.
Actually, this is this scene they said in the maximum movie mode. This was filmed on one of the coldest days, in one of the coldest seasons in the back lot of the studio, and that they actually did narrowly escape real hypothermia from filming this scene. And I think it was because of the way the camera is moving, around and around and around. But yeah, they said that by far of the 2 last films, this was probably the hardest shot to really do, just because it was so cold. And they're in England too. They're not filming in Florida or Ecuador, South America, Breaking Dawn. But it's just, you can imagine it's so rough. They're so cold. Warwick Davis told a funny story here of Voldemort walking on this blood. Watching the film, I'm just like, oh my god, Lucius Malfoy is so proper. Look what Voldemort's done to his house with all this blood everywhere. But Warwick Davis told the story of how during filming, because there's so much blood on the hardwood floor, Ralph Fiennes actually slipped once and just completely fell over while filming that scene. But then David Yates has also said that they actually had to mop up a lot of that blood because it was too much for the rating that they were going for. Yeah,
too much blood.
The thing is though, you can always mop up some blood, right? Just get it all out there and then take it away later instead of trying to digitally put blood in. That would work.
They actually used the noise from mandrakes for that alarm.
Really?
Really?
No, I just
Look
made
at all
that
these.
up.
Oh,
Oh, damn.
got excited.
Really,
it sounded like it though.
Is it called, what is that, the caterwauling charm? Or... No?
That's
Book
the
people?
annoying sound charm. Okay, not a big fan of this scene. I wasn't really in the book either, because they just suddenly trust Aberforth right here. I don't know. It seems very odd. There's a little hesitation, but they're still letting him the trio in, and it's like, I know they're in a desperate situation, but it just seemed like kind of a bad move.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bad guys, though, they shoot first, ask questions later. So for anybody to acknowledge them, just be like, "Come here, Potter," I'd take that.
But again, tying it back to the deleted scene where Harry explains a little bit more to Ron about what he's seeing in the mirror, saying he swears that he sees Dumbledore, would help with this scene, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, because Hermione, when they get down the steps, Hermione says, "Oh, did you see him? He just looks just like, Hey, the back of Hermione's head." They actually managed to do a sequel for Hermione's, the back of her head. Her hair was braided in the reflection. You bloody fools. He's lecturing them.
He looks so much like Michael Gambon. I was really impressed by that.
That's the thing.
Because the real-life actor doesn't look like him at all.
No, he doesn't.
And they talk about that. I think there was a feature released on Harry Potter: The Quest where Kieran Hines talks about getting into that role and the amount of makeup, and how he was really impressed by, how well they did. So
it's also one of the focus points on the Blu-ray. There's basically, I think, 3 prosthetics. He says it's the forehead was the main thing, but also the eyelids. Because Michael Gambon has the eyelids that are sort of heavier, very distinctive. Very distinctive.
Is Harry not hungry?
Yeah, I don't
He's
understand
just
this.
angry.
Harry's a Horcrux. Even he can't starve. He doesn't get hungry.
I think what it's saying is he's in the middle of a mission right now. He doesn't want to stop to take a break.
I like the sarcasm here by Aberforth. Nice job.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that line. I like that line a lot.
Now, again, another deleted scene. I think it was the same dialogue, but they were actually all at the table as opposed to standing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's one line about Ariana, I think, that they added that it's not in the final film, but it's like, again, pacing. Still, I think most of the backstory does really, I feel like it comes through. I mean, what's important is that Aberforth has a beef with, Albus.
Yeah, and that's definitely there, but we know very little about Ariana.
Yeah. But, I mean, even the books is vague about what exactly happened to Ariana. We just know that she was...
Well, but we got that story. We got the story about, the horsing around that was going on.
Yeah, and she was damaged. She was unable to control her power.
Whenever I see... You can't see it right now, but whenever I see the butterbeer on the table there, you could see it at the beginning of the scene. I think of the Wizarding World Park.
It's true.
I feel like it's a subtle reference to the Wizarding World because it looks exactly like it, except for the mugs.
Well, what was it? I think, to be honest, I think they said that they had used one of the... When we did the theme park preview before it opened, Stuart Craig and them, we were told that they used the actual, like the theme park Hogshead to design the Hogshead in the film, because they designed the they designed the theme park before they had to shoot the last film, so that there probably are some really close comparisons you could draw, even though we had been in the Hogshead a couple times before, in movie 5.
I think you get good insight though into the relationship here when Aberforth says that Dumbledore, the other Dumbledore, sacrificed many things on his quest for power.
Yeah, it's one of those lines that really, really covers all the bases there. It's a movie, we can't get the final story, so I was happy with that line.
Yeah, I think it just really summed it up for those people who are kind of looking for that backstory on Dumbledore to be in the movie. I think that kind of made it very clear what kind of a past he's had.
He's got such a big portrait and such a little mirror next to it. Do you think he should just, get a medium-sized portrait and have a little bit more space for a mirror. I mean, you got to groom yourself after all. Never mind.
What an analysis. Well, maybe he has a mirror somewhere else in the house.
Yeah, maybe.
This
I don't
scene
know.
always got the biggest cheers, I thought. At least when we saw the movie in Orlando when Neville showed up.
Yeah.
In the book, it's a cheer moment, though. I mean, it's the scene where you put down the book and start clapping, because really Neville is just this badass figure. All of a sudden, and he's like, I think in the books there's more of that too, where Neville just in the movie he just talked about one of his cuts or something. You know, in the book I think he goes quite on about that, where he's like, oh yeah, got this here for doing this misdeed, and got this over there, lasted for weeks, you know, but I got her good. You know, it's just kind of like really, really badass. Let's have a bit of fun, shall we?
I've said before, I've never really been a fan of Neville, and this film's no different. I don't know why, and I think it's almost the way that Joe wrote it, and I'm sorry, I know that upsets a lot of people, but it's just like, get out of the way. Like, who are you?
What?
I don't know. Maybe it's Matt Lewis. Something I just can't get over. It just...
Now, one thing I can't get over is the use of the original music in this scene. I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
No, but it's like Harry's return to Hogwarts, just like his first time. It was just as exciting.
I understand why they picked it, but the movie to me is completely different now. You know, everybody's grown up. There should have been. I mean, if you're talking about Alexandre Desplat and his score, which the filmmakers, especially David Yates, have been completely all about, I really don't think there's a whole lot of score in this film, and you know, because a lot of it is the action, a lot of it is the. I understand it's just like an editor's job, you know, if you can't see it, that means you've done a good job, but the fact that they've chosen that moment to do the original, you know, John Williams, dun, 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 is just really kind of, for me, it was a chance for this film to be different, and it was just, instead it was trying to be the same.
I mean, I was hoping, and I think we all were hoping to see some references to earlier films in this final film. The whole full circle thing. Nice little references to past films. I think that was.
I'm cool with them playing the music, but it sounds like they were playing the exact same track. You know, like the difference. Like if he were to re-record that, you know, and do it with slightly different instruments, maybe, but also have it be the same theme, that'd be one thing. Instead, it really does just feel like it's a scene from the second film.
But this was weird for me because Luna just all of a sudden is at Hogwarts when before she was at Shell Cottage, and without that scene in there that's part of the deleted features, it's just, well, how did you get from Shell Cottage to
that's true
Hogwarts?
Yeah, but I mean, I think the other thing that confuses too is in a couple minutes when we see the rest of the orders also in the castle, it's like, where did they come from? You know, but it's
you have that moment just when we were watching that scene where they go on the radio and they say lightning has struck. That's the alert to the order to come to Hogwarts.
Yeah. I think
I'm glad they included that because we don't get any of that.
The actor George Harris, who plays Kingsley Shacklebolt, mentioned one of the press conferences in Orlando that he really wanted to, or he would have thought it would be cool to be on the Potter Watch, because Kingsley is, I think, one of the head leaders of Potter Watch, and you know, when they're in the forest, isn't he? I forget what they call him.
Not sure,
but. Yeah, essentially, I think they were talking about some of the scenes that were really cool moments for their characters. Gosh, Alan Rickman.
He's not centered. Under the Great Hall glass.
You gotta watch the full screen version if they still do the
I just think about the poor first years who are here and have to go through this nonsense. Like, they have no idea about Harry, really, or you know, they're too young for this super dark stuff. And Snape's yelling at these poor first years.
Yeah. That's
not a film critique. It's just like a...
No, yeah, general mood critique as well. Because, I mean, why would you send your kids to Hogwarts if it's the kind of situation where they're teaching the unforgivable curses on the first years? Like, not that there are a whole lot of other options for schooling your children in Britain, you know, in wizard school. But I just think that this is very much a place you wouldn't want to send anybody to. And, you know, we saw in previous books that people were parents were pulling their kids out of Hogwarts, but that was due to something little like not trusting Dumbledore's judgment. Here you've got full-blown Death Eaters running the school.
What do you think would have been like, though, just talking about the cast, to actually be in this scene and seeing Alan Rickman doing what he's doing right now? You'd have to be pretty scared.
Yeah. I mean, those kids probably weren't even acting. They were just legit scared.
In maximum movie mode of this film, David Yates they're focusing on this scene, and David Yates is just going on and on about how Alan Rickman's delivery is like really, 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 really cool. And,
in the test screening, that deleted scene where you see Harry join all the students before entering the Great Hall, that was in the test screening, and I liked it because you knew kind of what was coming, whereas in this final version, it was a shock, which on one hand is good for moviegoers, but I kind of liked knowing that Harry was in that group prior to Snape's speech.
Yeah, he has a costume change too, where they're in the room of requirement, and he's wearing his regular clothes, and now he has a robe over them.
Yeah,
I think there was a scene on the staircase where they gave him somebody else's robes to wear.
So let's talk about this duel. J.K. Rowling said that in the script it was going to be Snape versus Harry, and then she saw it and she was like, women power. We need to go with what's in the book here, and that's Snape versus McGonagall. Even though Harry's kind of involved in the duel, like if McGonagall suddenly fell, Harry would have whipped out his wand and taken care of Snape. But I was glad that it was.
She said it was an early draft of the script, but
and even in the book, right? It's McGonagall, Slughorn, and Flitwick. I think I could be wrong there with one of them, but it's the three of them who duel with Snape, and Snape bursts out one of the windows and flies away like a bat.
Mm-hmm.
If I recall, they're in a hallway though.
Yeah,
too.
they're not in the Great Hall.
Not in the Great Hall. Far more condensed. Far more actors. Professors going against Snape. But same deal. This is now. Many people don't like this. How Voldemort is essentially, as a character, is introduced by the screaming of innocent young girls. It's so eerie, but I also thought that this was not really something that was ever addressed by anybody. I've never asked Yates about this, or we never see them talk about how scary this is. Like, why do you think they introed that? Do you guys like that or not? Where they have the children screaming.
Well, not necessarily the children screaming, but I think you get that brief moment of triumph where Snape is gone, but then all of a sudden it turns back to dark right away.
Yeah, I didn't. The screaming scares me every time because it's so sudden and high pitched and not expected. But I liked it. I thought it was kind of unclear at first if it was just Harry who could hear it or everyone, but I guess the screams are supposed to indicate that everyone can sense it.
Do you think they're screaming, like, is it a pain, because...
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because he's, in their head?
Yeah.
Or something? Maybe, the 2 people out of 100 can't handle telepathy?
Exactly. No, I think that's right.
Here's a bit of comic relief.
Student out of bed. David Bradley, I'll tell you, at the home entertainment celebration, he's just such a genuine guy, such a generous, kind.
He's pretty good at karaoke, from what I heard too.
Yeah. I just I'm so happy that he's a part of this.
Now, why does he call her mom? Is that a British thing?
Yeah, I think that's a British.
It's a British.
Like ma'am. I
think the also, isn't it one of the James Bond movies? They call M. Judi Dench mum. It's just it's respect. It's like it's like saying mom. It's like saying mom too. In a way, I thought, but also like ma'am.
This may seem obscure, but I've always wondered. I want to know what went into designing Harry's battle wardrobe, because he's wearing the same thing for an hour. So I've always wondered, did they design it with flexibility in mind? With what made them decide Harry needs to wear corduroy, a sport jacket, and then a t-shirt underneath? I know that sounds weird, but this is
a lot of layers.
This is the most iconic scene probably in the franchise. This entire hour, and did heavy thinking go into designing his battlements wardrobe? I don't know. That's really interested to me for some reason.
Heavy thinking went in. We even say Harry Potter film, so heavy thinking went into everything. But I'm completely with you here. I mean, I never really thought about it, but we're actually watching him wear 3 layers
Yeah.
for like an hour and a half, and he had to shoot in that for months and months and months and months. Yeah, who knows, right? I mean, who's to say that? I mean, since when are stripes a symbol of leadership either? I think Matt Lewis was talking about finally getting to wear stripes.
Yeah.
And this is where Neville's a BAMF, but.
So this scene with McGonagall on the front steps, I was there when they were filming it, and I was so excited because it's just McGonagall's moment, and seeing the statues come to life in a moment here is just so epic. I love the shot where the camera's on the ground and you see the statues just jump and land very firmly.
Now, when you were watching them film it, could you hear what they were getting?
Yeah, because it was McGonagall and Julia Walters, and Warwick Davis, and you could hear what we were saying. That whole background behind them, where the bridge is, that was all special effects later on, and obviously the statues were added later on, but
that's a shame.
It's another thing that they could showcase for special effects.
What, the statues?
Yeah.
Interestingly, the Giants, again, maximum movie mode. What do you want? I watched it. But they talk about the Giants and how they were going to do them completely digital and settled to actually do some live capture for them. The special effects team, they're just so competent, though.
Yeah, and even right here, I mean, you look at them shooting out these spells to protect the school.
Very cool with visual.
And all of this is digital, by the way. We're not just talking about the bubble, which is obviously digital. Hogwarts exteriors in this movie, all digital. Completely all digital.
Again, something else that was annoying to look at during the test screening because it wasn't done.
We saw like wireframes and gray, right?
Yeah, a bunch of nonsense.
Well, the captions helped. They really did, the subtitles.
Yeah.
Luna's about to lay the smackdown here.
This is probably my third favorite moment in the film. He's just brushing her off. Harry Potter, you listen to me right now. He's like, whoa.
I love the extras running around in the background. We must act urgent. Like, we're... never mind. I mean, it's just,
it's
such
right.
mayhem. I always wonder, like, where are they running? What are these people... Where are they going in such a rush? I mean, obviously, they're battling, but...
Regarding that costume, Warwick Davis said the only thing that is actually his is his own chin. The reason I don't think that worked with, there's not a person alive who's seen it. Cho was not giving a riddle when she said that. So it's this big reveal, oh yeah, we got to talk to someone who's dead. But, I thought it was played off as though Cho were riddling somebody when she said that to begin with. But no, she wasn't, Yeah. It's one of those things.
Well, this also ties back to the scene that they showed when they dropped into the water. And you got to look at the Grey Lady and the Ravenclaw banner, and now you're finally coming face to face with her.
Played by Kelly MacDonald.
Where else can I see her, Andrew?
Boardwalk Empire.
No kidding.
And in
Probably
Disney Pixar's
too.
2012 film Brave.
She
has the lead. She voices the lead girl. It's their first original film. It's going to be really good, I think. First original film in a few years. But yeah, she was great in this scene.
They really played the backstory of the Grey Lady really well, I thought. There's still a bit more in the book than there is in the film. The interesting thing about this, okay, when she goes off and she's sort of floating in midair there, and she goes over there, somebody said something, and I don't remember where it was, but they said the reason they did that, where she goes off, she's not really, really, really levitating. The idea is that there once was a bridge there, at Hogwarts, that perhaps when she was alive, there would have been a bridge where she just went. So even though we see her going out, through the window over this huge gap, which is like, why wouldn't she fall? The idea is that there's some kind of temporal displacement going on, where like she's kind of at Hogwarts in her time, and it just furthers the idea that these two separate planes of existence, the separate realities are coming together. So I thought that was awesome when I heard that. I was like, oh my god, you know.
And this is really now the first look we get at Voldemort outside of the cutscenes that we saw in the water, and then obviously the film opening with him in Dumbledore's tomb.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Moran, who plays Scabier, said that there were actually something like 3,500 actors.
Seriously?
For one of these sequences where they're running down the
It's
hill.
the 4th of July.
Cook some hot dogs.
I wonder how they got so many, how Voldemort rounded up so many people.
Well, that was really the thing, reading the books. Because in the books, it's a big deal that Voldemort's taking over, because presumably his reign of terror is not restricted to England. But the tough thing is that these are books that are set in England. You almost can't comprehend Voldemort taking over the whole world, right? Because again, he's just one person, and you think of the world being so amazingly big. So in the film, when you're seeing these 3,500 people, it kind of, I think, helps sell it a little bit more, because these people all turned out on one hillside to fight behind him.
Yeah.
The Grey Lady, this scene is just so intense. Like, I felt really unsure that the Grey Lady was going to give Harry the information, or at least give a hint. You
And
could
when
tell.
she screams at him, yeah.
I Google imaged Kelly MacDonald, by the way. I just saw a completely different side of the Grey Lady.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
Come on, I'm trying to add some humor in here. But I also, they left out the whole backstory, really, with the Bloody Baron. And how that ties into all this.
Well, the thing about the Bloody Baron, he had that sweeping in the Harry Potter page to screen, the book. There are shots that they did of the actors in costume for what would later be green screened in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the film. Bloody Baron is seen for about 5 seconds, sweeping. So it wouldn't, because he hasn't been in any of the subsequent films, they didn't. And also the pending battle, because right now students are getting ready to die. I can see why it was omitted.
Kingsley. These random, attic, walkways through
Every
the castle.
should have one, right? I mean, there've got to be areas like this in every castle, don't there?
Yeah, I guess so.
And,
I like this line here by Lupin.
yeah, the quality of one's convictions that determines the success in battle. Who said that? Me. Oh, Fred and George.
Last time you'll see Fred alive.
Is this foreshadowing? Are you okay, Freddy? And he's not
think
going to be
so.
okay in a half hour.
Yeah, of course it is.
They didn't really shoot a death scene for Fred, did they? Or they just never included it in the final cut?
It's unclear, and I'll explain that in a minute. I do want to say that this is, I said Luna telling Harry off was my third favorite scene. This is the second favorite scene, is the opening of the Chamber of Secrets, just because I was so happy. Remember, in the book, it's off-screen. Off-screen. You don't read about them. They show up to Harry, and they're like, oh, by the way, we went down to the Chamber of Secrets. Actually getting to see it on film is amazing.
I like this scene right here, watching the Quidditch pitch fall.
Why did they burn the Quidditch thing down, man?
It's a riot.
Some men just
war.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
It is war, and it's another ending. I mean, we saw the Quidditch pitch in so many of the films. In the beginning of the series, very bright and happy. Now at the end, kind of blah.
Another deleted scene that isn't in the films is when they're setting up all the explosives.
Which I liked, because it's a good reminder of why this bridge collapsed so easily after Neville just sent one spell.
I like how
Well, yeah.
Scabier knew to stop, but allowed everybody else to run forward.
Yeah, IRL,
Yeah.
I don't think that would have actually happened.
I think he's a diva. He wants more spotlight. The less people who are next to him, the better he looks. Well, I think the thing is, too, again, with special effects, sometimes they go by so quickly. When Neville, upcoming, when the bridge does explode, you can see that Neville's spell actually hits a fuse, which actually is wired to something. But it happens in like 2 seconds. Or 2 split seconds, so you don't see it.
I like how nobody cleaned up the basilisk skeleton. They just left it there.
Yeah, I mean, if
For future
Slughorn knew
use,
about
you know.
this... Well, if Slughorn knew about this chamber, he would have pawned off all those fangs.
Well,
So
why
it's
not
kind of
leave it there? I mean, it's kind of...
And we didn't touch on it earlier, but the scene on the staircase where Hermione mentions that Ron had come up with the idea to use the basilisk fang on the cup.
I missed that.
Yeah, Hermione was smitten with Ron coming up with the idea.
It's Hurricane Voldemort.
Which I remember
Or
there was,
Typhoon
I think...
Voldemort.
Yeah, remember when there was like a rumor or something like, oh my gosh, there's going to be a Typhoon Voldemort. Everybody was like, oh my god, what are they doing in this
We
film?
saw it in the trailer, yeah, but...
It doesn't really look like him.
No. But it's, it's just this, the idea that Horcruxes are such are such powerful, pieces of magic that when one dies, you get this afterglow, or this after, just like in the forest scene where there's that huge monster and it fades away. Or they do it again in the Room of Requirement with the fire. How there's still some kind of residual Voldemort. Man, he's pissed.
Yeah, he's not too happy. See, and that's why I thought the whole destruction of the Horcrux and him feeling it worked well in the films, because you see his immediate reaction. Again, another deleted scene here where Tonks shows up. They cut that out.
Yeah. The other thing about Voldemort, too, and making what you were just talking about, Micah, is that you can see him almost... in the book it said, when there's another Horcrux is destroyed, he's less and less human each time. You can see him react to one of his, part of his soul dying, and how his next movement is that much more maniacal, that much more fierce and angry, because he's less and less, alive, but also less and less human.
Right.
It makes him more dangerous. I want them to sell little pieces of shield that you can throw through the air.
Like film cells, how they sell film cells.
Yeah.
And just the whole, Neville, we see Neville, he's so strong and he's such a fighter. And then all of a sudden, the barricade's gone and he just runs for his life.
Well, if you had that many people running after you, would you run away?
Well, no, I know this, but you should have thought about that when there's 3,500 people there. You shouldn't have been getting closer and being like, ha, what you gonna do now?
Okay, so it's slightly more drawn out, but yeah, that's the fuse.
And here goes the bridge, and classic moment coming up when, did he fall? Did he fall to his death? And you see his hand and his wand. And
nobody's even trying to help him, by the way. They're all just standing there watching him.
Yeah,
they're
funny.
not like, here, come on, they're not sending spells. We might hit him, but...
And they should have been like Accio Neville.
A summoning spell for... Yeah, would have worked, too. I know you're not about this moment, Andrew, but I loved it. Because I think what sold it is how quickly he disappeared from the shot when the bridge collapsed and he just fell. It wasn't. It's almost like one sec he's gone. I just thought if you can stage a falling, you can stage a recovery. It helps.
Now there are the giants you were talking about, who are actually played by actors.
Yeah,
I thought they were all CGI.
Well, they talk about. In one of the documentaries of this that are in this home video release, they talk about how Grop was all CGI or motion capture in Order of the Phoenix. Half-Blood Prince. No, it's Order of the Phoenix. And so I think it was the special effects team, they propositioned, or they basically went to, I think it was David Yates, and said, look, okay, for the Giants, we know we could do it all digital, but it will look more real if we actually do film some actors. And they did some tests and they showed
Kingsley.
I love this Kingsley, Arthur Weasley, battling here, amazing. But
the Giants, they are swinging Quidditch hoops, by the way.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and we were
are?
debating that in the trailer, and I mean, if you watch it in the movie or the Blu-ray or even the DVD, I think it's very clear, and they're half broken, but that's what they are.
That's crazy. I thought
and
they
here
were like...
comes a part that a lot of people had issue with, too. Finding
What's
Luna.
the issue here? Finding who? Oh, Luna. Oh, right. And which was described later as a summer fling.
Yeah, that's upsetting, but many people don't catch it because it's British too. He
And
says,
again-
"I'm mad for her. I
Yeah.
have to find."
I know I keep pointing out deleted scenes, but there was another one that would have been in here with the Slytherins breaking out of the dungeon after Filch puts them there.
Yep.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that where Malfoy apparates is actually from that deleted scene.
Right.
Where Malfoy apparates, grabs so you think they're just in a random part of the castle, but they're actually normally they would be in the dungeons if they had kept that scene.
Here comes another Ron intellectual moment.
And then Hermione's like, you're so amazing.
Maybe she transferred some of the intelligence
kissed
to him
When
down
she
in the
kissed him.
chamber.
Via saliva.
Yeah, David Yates is like, okay, from this moment forward, we can Ron can make intelligent decisions.
No, they're just one person now.
Ron Hermione. Come on. In the I asked Arthur Parsons to give me a demo of the room of requirement here. He said earlier in the game when they first arrive at Hogwarts, one of the side tasks is that you have to wake up sleeping students because they have the hammocks. And now in this one, it's just, again, documentaries. All the props that they got, I mean, they unloaded, I think it's something to like 72 crates of props from all the previous films to construct this scene. And they went to auction houses, and they went to, places and just got all this furniture that they have stacked here. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I think when you just look around, there's the statue, the Hogwarts statue that you see in the on the ride, the Forbidden Journey ride, as you're walking through the queue.
Yeah.
Just saw some pixies.
I love the
Cornish
pixies.
pixies. And you see the boar, I think.
Yeah.
At some point. I don't
The
know if we
winged.
missed it, but.
Yeah.
Also, some chess pieces I think are in here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I thought it was a cool tribute. I think I said it on a previous show to all the other movies that they have
Yeah,
this stuff in here.
I agree.
Trying to look out and find that one thing that I haven't seen before, and I'm sure there's like hundreds of thousands, but it's just this Harry can hear the Horcrux. He can feel the Horcrux.
Yeah, I like that too in this movie because it kind of gave a way for people to realize in the end that Harry was a Horcrux as well. I think you mentioned that earlier, Eric.
Yeah, it helps sell it. But this prop, this diadem, and I gotta admit, reading the book, what the heck's a diadem, right? I mean, that's why there's that line in this movie. It's like a tiara, but it
What
just
if you don't know
looks
what a
so-
tiara is? Then you're
Well,
really in trouble.
then you. I like that line. It's perverse, right? It's just like that. It doesn't quite understand me. You know what I mean? It's kind of like he's got this. Draco's misunderstood.
Yeah.
Come on, Draco, don't be a brat. Go well. Is that the Mirror of Erised behind them?
Yeah,
Is
it
it the
looks like it.
The frame of the Mirror of
I
Erised?
think I saw the mirror.
Now,
there.
what did you think of this? Ron running off. That's
Ron.
my girlfriend.
That was okay, but the way he was thrusting his wand forward, whatever. He's in love. Give him a break.
Yeah.
People
There's a
make dumb
couch
decisions.
too. Somebody's on the couch. You might as well jump on it. Oh, love that. The Doxy. I mean, no, the Pixies. We're nesting in there. It's the element of realism where you believe that this could actually be a real world.
There you go, Andrew. There's the boar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, again, this
And-
is another scene that can be used showcasing special effects.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they were good. I feel like they put again. That's another Wizarding World reference to me because people will see it in the movie and then go to the theater or go to the Wizarding World and be like, "Oh my gosh, I've seen that in the movie!" It's just exciting for the people.
You're talking about the boar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think it's good that
Now, is
the
that Umbridge's stuff that was on the table there?
I don't know.
Probably. Yeah, it looks Trelawney's because you see all the teacups.
Oh yeah, it could be. And like the butterbeer too. You see the butterbeer in the film, and then you see it in the park. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah, it's good that they completed the theme park before they completed the film, so that they could have those kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know, in the actual
This
major
was
motion
cool.
pictures. Oh,
That
God.
dog or whatever it is.
Yeah, kind of a movieism where the Fiendfire takes the form of different animals. But just the idea that it is a crazy wall of fire. My favorite special effects shot is where Goyle is trying to put out, you know, he's like throwing his wand, and the fire just keeps coming from it. It shows a real lack of control, lack of ability
Now-
to control the forces.
Was it Goyle who actually gets killed in the book, or was it Crabbe? I can't remember.
It's a good question. I knew the answer once, of course. I
Should
feel
Google it.
like I'll Google.
Yes, it's Crabbe who dies.
It's Crabbe who dies?
So
Yep.
that's why they changed it.
Changed. Oh yeah, because Crabbe no longer exists.
He became reckless and neglected the potency of his dark arts, releasing cursed flames to incinerate his opponents that he couldn't control, which led to his demise. That's from the Harry Potter wiki.
I like how he punks
Ron gives it that
the diadem.
Fuck
into fire.
and
Three
then the
Voldemort
Voldemort heads.
The cool thing again behind the scenes, it was one of the physical stunts that they had to do was chuck Harry and Ron out of the room of requirement because they're on their brooms at the time, and they had to like throw them they basically launched them off of a platform, the doubles to the into the hallway when the doors closed behind it.
There's been a rumor lately that Nagini is the snake that Harry released in Sorcerer's Stone. Do you guys think that's true?
That was discredited.
Okay.
What is that? Poor Pius just got killed.
He's angry. Voldemort just
He
lost
needs
another
to-
Horcrux.
He needs to try. I felt bad for Pius too, Micah. Don't worry. We'll have T-shirts and like a blood drive or something. But you know, Voldemort is feeling so vulnerable. In fact, I remember people laughing at that sound he makes when he's like, where he's just kind of like shocked, and it's that intake of breath. And I thought that was tremendous acting from Ralph Fiennes because, you know, he needs to prove that he still has power, that he's still capable of being evil, and that's why the first thing he does is kill somebody again, because he needs to prove to himself more than anybody else, but also to everybody else.
Yeah,
that
he's just angry. He's
he can
just
still
letting
do it.
out some anger.
he
why
needed to-
why wasn't Nagini kept in the orb in this film?
Oh, like the protective orb?
Yep.
I mean, I feel like
It would have
she's
looked
already
weird.
She's already such a special effect. It doesn't.
And she has to crawl along the ground. It would have been weird if she was just floating the whole time.
Well, I think it's still really relieving when Nagini leaves his side, because you do see her in all these scenes right next to Voldemort. So that they still sold the idea, the concept that she was very well protected.
Now, what's with the lifting of the sleeve here? Is that to kind of show that he's decaying, or what?
I thought he was about to, because all the Death Eaters have the Dark Mark there,
Right.
but obviously Voldemort doesn't. So maybe it's about, him feeling his own mortality.
And he slaps
That-
Lucius.
Yeah. That line, man. How can you live with yourself, Lucius? And he just says, I don't know.
I think even part of Voldemort is disgusted with Lucius.
Well, that's the thing. It's true. It's exactly what you said. He is disgusted with Lucius. It's almost like he blames Lucius for letting him. I don't know. Lucius never stands up for himself. This whole time he's being bullied by Voldemort, and I don't think there's no respect. There's just no respect from Voldemort to
Right
Lucius.
here,
And
Quidditch
yeah.
pitch. Sorry to
Quidditch
interrupt,
hoop.
but
Unbelievable.
The Quidditch hoop. Yeah.
I always took it to be like a native object, like a native weapon that maybe the giants would have constructed in Giant Land.
Mhm.
Turns out no. It's just you destroyed this. It's it's just totally a Quidditch hoop.
This, I'm surprised Harry, Ron, and Hermione get through this. So you know how we were talking about Ron dying? This should have been where Ron died.
Yeah, smush. just kind of...
They run through this battle, throwing spells around. I don't know how they can possibly be sure who's on whose side. And
I wonder if they had trolls in this final battle, how they would have made them look different than giants, because the giants kind of look like
well, they wouldn't be as big,
Yeah,
but I guess it would just be confusing.
Yep.
lavender brown.
Little Twilight reference.
Well, actually,
It's a joke.
Lavender dies in the book. Many
No, I
people
know.
don't-
It just made me think of Twilight because like sucking the blood.
Oh yeah.
This scene, very cool. Aberforth has his moment.
Well, I remember
Get
in
rid
the
of the
trailer they
Dementors.
cut it so it looked like Voldemort hit Fenrir Greyback in that
Yeah.
scene.
We were like, what? Friendly fire, friendly fire.
Yeah, you couldn't tell in the trailer
Kingsley's
at all.
lost his hat. I just realized that. Kingsley's hat is gone.
Now we're going to go check out the home of this Hogwarts rowing team.
What's their... They need a Latin, slogan. You could have come up with it.
Welcome to the boathouse. We haven't shown it to you before, but we think it's a good place for Snape to die. You know, they were
hasn't been-
talking this
video
up.
games, actually.
When they were talking this up, they were saying, you know, you get to see Hogwarts burning in the background as Snape dies. And I was like, oh, cool. But you really don't see Hogwarts burning in the background as Snape dies. And that was a disappointment because I was kind of looking forward to that. I had this visual in my head that I thought would be quite beautiful.
It is in the games, which is interesting. Even as far back as Chamber of Secrets, the game. And we're talking about when there was only one type of game for each movie release, not 15. But you go down to the boathouse, and it looks just... I mean, you don't go inside it, but it's exactly in the same place. And I feel like even in the posters, there was a boathouse, right? I mean, early on.
It's
You
interesting
know that it's going to...
that moment right there when he says, "My lord," you can tell that he knows that he's about to get it.
To get it.
Yeah, this is a turn.
Get it. But the other thing about having Snape's death be in this boathouse is that water symbolizes life in a lot of ways. So this raising and lowering of the tide, this water lapping sound in the background, just kind of, it is a place for life and death to be decided.
Interesting point. Snape's hair is like long and a mess.
Snape's hair, for the first time, it looks right to me. Is that
Yeah.
wrong? Is that
No,
wrong?
that's-
It just
I agree.
I didn't get this line right here. Only I can live forever. Snape didn't have any intention of trying to live forever,
well,
and there he goes.
He did though.
Quick slit of the throat. How could he not even defend himself, though?
Well,
Because he knew...
he has to know about the Horcruxes. He has to know he has no shot.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing, doesn't it sell? It helps sell. It actually helps Harry because it helps sell the notion that Voldemort wins, and when Voldemort gets proud, he makes mistakes. But there's definitely no way for Snape to know that Harry is watching. I don't know if there is in the book, but it's very lucky that Snape waited this long.
Yeah, that's true.
To show him the memory, but there's no reason for Harry to ever show up, and sort of cradle him and get these
But you
memories
almost
off.
wonder what the alternate plan was to
You
show
do.
Harry the truth.
But yeah, just they finally
This
got
shot
Snape's
when
hair.
Harry and Snape are looking at each other, you don't see the actual shot that they used, but on billboards and in that Oscar booklet, they used that. I think it's one of the better shots of Harry looking into Snape's eyes as he's dying.
Do you have a scan of that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look that up.
Hermione,
the
come on,
tear.
get the vial.
But the tear just talking.
You just happen to have one in your pocket.
And don't get the blood, for God's sake.
Yeah. We've said though that remember this, Andrew. The tear is digital, so there
Yeah.
was no crying in this Snape's death
Yeah,
scene.
And Stuart Craig was like, I cried when I watched them film this scene. And it's like, wait, you're crying and not even Alan Rickman was crying? Like, come on.
That's the real thing, is when you take into account what everybody else said about this scene, and to think that not even Alan Rickman was supposed to cry, because the tears are supposed to be these memory tears of digital proportions. I don't know.
And here we go, with Lily's eyes. You have your mother's eyes, and this was something else that we learned recently. J.K. Rowling said, Harry's eye color is not that important, but his mom's eyes needs to look similar to his.
There's
and they
a
didn't even
significance.
do
There
it.
has to be a significance there. Well, I agreed with you when you said that, but Geraldine Somerville, we've only seen maybe 5 minutes total of her in the entire films. Maybe
but there's a side by side, and Lily's eyes are brown, I think. The actress's eyes are brown.
They?
Yeah.
Well, I think too. Maybe it's that thing where if you had known Lily, you would have seen the resemblance.
Was that Fred's death scene? Was he dying right there, or was it just
I think
Voldemort
that was
taking
actually
over?
George.
Okay.
I think it's Fred, and the reason, but he's just been disarmed. He's not dying, and the reason that is powerful, I think the reason that it's supposed to be powerful is because Voldemort is disarming his forces. He's saying, okay, now there's time to go pick up your dead and stuff, but Fred has just been disarmed. He's lost his wand, and he's ordering his Death Eaters to retreat to the forest. But I think Alecto Caro, is it? Not Amicus, Alecto's the female. Seeing a disarmed Fred there, they're obviously they've just been dueling, and I think it was her evilness that she just kept going and actually killed him, because he doesn't have. You see him lose his wand, and in the next scene he's dead. I just think that to me that makes a lot of sense, is that she would have just gone on and killed him and then left.
Mm-hmm.
It's so isolated, the boathouse. Oh my god.
Now there's nobody around. It's all quiet.
Cleaning bill. 1-800-GOT-JUNK. Get a few U-Hauls in here. Clear that shit out. Start of term next year.
I like this scene because you see quite a few of the teachers.
Yeah, how about that?
See Trelawney, I remember. We're not seeing it yet, but...
Yeah, even Filch got in on the
There's
fight.
Filch, yeah.
Nasty gash.
We're gonna see Sprout in a second. Yeah, there's Sprout. Then Trelawney. Thanks for coming back. What's her name? Emma Roberts?
Emma
Thompson.
Yeah. Wasn't she one of the two, her and Rita Skeeter, they didn't really care
Yeah,
much
they were
about?
both, hinting
Whatever.
that they weren't gonna come back. Did Rupert do a good job of crying here? I think so.
Yeah. David Yates talks about that too, how even though Fred didn't get a death scene, it's really part of the reaction. That Ron's reaction is what you're going to use as your, springboard for your emotion. That seeing his reaction is in ways more powerful
Lupin
than...
and Tonks look really creepy right about.
Creepy?
Yeah, I mean, just...
That was their death scene. In fairness, they didn't get in the book either, so...
Oh, to answer the question before, I think I recall hearing that Chris Rankin was surprised that he did not appear in the final battle at all, which leaves me to believe that there was originally some kind of scene shot or planned during the battle for Fred and George to die, but who knows, right?
Yeah,
but I think it involved the whole Weasley family, or at least Percy's redemption.
I mean, it may have been shot. Did Chris say he definitely didn't film one at all? Because you know how Stanislav, who plays Crumb, he shot it, but it didn't appear. He shot not the battle, but in the wedding he was supposed to appear.
Yeah.
Which we saw,
Now,
but yeah,
Pensieve.
Pensieve.
This Pensieve, yeah, it's different from Half-Blood Prince. It was like the standing thing, but now this one's like a floating. It's like a flying saucer.
Interestingly, it is and it isn't different, and this is one of those things where this is the first time in the films they draw attention to it. But during Half-Blood Prince, there's one scene where it's just the shot opens on Harry and Dumbledore and the Pensieve, but if you look closely, the Pensieve is just this floating disc, and it's such a weird choice for them to make, to turn it into this.
See,
floating
Lily's
disc.
eyes brown.
Petunia was even a bitch back then.
Wow. And Snape lived in a tree. Not a pineapple under a tree. Just a tree. Helicopters. That's advanced magic there, making something alive. Aw, young love. Let's get together and feel alright. This scene, I think this was really well shot. I'm glad that it was done in full color, not like what Snape's Worst Memory is, kind of like this storybook of, not to mention it's like 5 seconds long in Order of the Phoenix. But this is all really this sells Snape's childhood. And I think it's probably one of the best, it's probably the best sequence in the whole film, wouldn't you say?
I loved all these historical scenes, so to speak, especially the stuff that happened in Hogwarts, like Lily and James meeting.
Getting sorted, you have to think, like, they filmed Getting Sorted during
all over again, yeah. It's really cool.
The last movie.
Sirius and James. That's
I've always
from
shot, Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to see them dancing, like the shot, like behind the scenes of them dancing, because it's just they did it for the first film, and it's in the book at the end of the first film, but you never see it. Ellen
These Snape Dumbledore scenes are great.
Yeah.
He looks a lot younger there too.
Yeah, it's the hair shorter. I think they may have put a little extra makeup on him, maybe.
He does look younger. I'm glad they were able to pull that off, and I was worried that they wouldn't.
Maybe that's why they made his hair longer in part 2, so they could differentiate between this older Snape, present-day Snape, and then the young adult Snape.
Mama loves you, Dada loves you. She has blue eyes. Or her eyes look light there.
It's true. It's a side shot, though. Can't say for sure.
Can't be sure. Oh, boy. There's an astronomy big globe. He looks so young here.
I wonder if he was actually crying in this scene.
I'm sure he was. He's a competent actor.
Now, they said they actually shot these during Half-Blood Prince. Is that true?
Really?
I wonder. I can't believe
Who
that
was they?
Scripted.
If Yates said it, then it must be true, but I don't see what the advantage would be. Actually, I don't know if that makes sense.
Because most of Hogwarts is getting destroyed, isn't it?
But would a script be written?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that they would script it so early.
Yeah.
Because they don't, who knows what David Yates didn't even know he would direct the final film. Why would you have that extra work done? I love how he just passes over James's dead body like it's he's like coming up the stairs. Oh yeah, there's James. Okay, but I'm heading to go find Lily now.
Yeah, but why would they redo all of this stuff?
Why wouldn't they? They have the full support of the budget of the...
Yeah, like the Dumbledore's office set, that's always been there. They've deconstructed the Ministry scene and set and put it back together. They no expense is spared just because they don't have the room to keep all these sets.
You must.
And plus, Michael Gambon wanted to come back to film some stuff for part 2.
Well, that was the thing that not necessarily differentiates the books and the movies, but we all knew that Michael Gambon would have to be a big part of the 7th book because of all the Dumbledore backstory at the very least, if not King's Cross, and turns out the backstory wasn't in, but King's Cross and these flashbacks were.
Well, if anybody is that's listening wants to check in on that and see if that's true, that some of these scenes were shot during Half-Blood Prince.
Well, where did you hear it?
I just remember hearing it somewhere.
I recall hearing that too, but I don't, thinking about it again.
Yeah, I'm going to say no, because who knows if David Yates was signed on as a director at that point, and...
Yeah.
that just seems...
It's just that these scenes fit this film's in this sequence so well that it's
That's a
so
scary
strange to
stuffed
think that
animal.
they're. That's a lot of things children have, like clowns and things
I
are
hate
scary.
clowns.
Yeah. Sorry, you just had to have that outburst there. It's from movie 4.
This is like a chills sort of moment when
True.
Dumbledore broke the news.
When the time comes, the boy must die. Yes. There's like a fun house. It's all crooked here.
It's weird. It's
Yeah, it
just
looks like
it's
it.
a completely different Snape.
Yeah.
What do you mean? No, he's always had a wig, so it's a different
No.
wig.
I mean, just from a character standpoint, from what you're used to seeing throughout the other 7 films.
Which
Seriously,
added to the
Baby
epicness.
Harry. Baby Harry right there is like, who's this man cradling my mommy?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Is that my dada? Look, there's the line, pig for slaughter. Oh yeah. I say that is a MuggleCast reference right there. The dough. They didn't really sell the dough, I don't think.
Why does Snape send the dough?
Well, he sends the dough to show Dumbledore that he's genuine in love. Look, Baby Harry still doesn't know. Baby Harry still doesn't know who this man is. But at the same time, is there another relation that I'm missing other than the fact that James Potter had a stag patronus so that Lily represents the doe because she's the partner of the stag, and that Snape has the doe patronus that it represents Lily? Isn't that like 3 degrees of separation, or like 3 times removed, like logic there?
Yeah, I mean,
am I missing something?
I think that's the reason.
Okay.
So we've just learned that Harry has to die.
Has to
Voldemort must do it.
And look at this, where I think Dan just sits down. He's just like, I know if I don't sit down right now, I'm going to fall over. And he just digests. He's still wearing his 3 layers. Now would be the good time to take like a jacket off.
Yeah, he's probably sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's gonna die in this outfit.
Acting. Good. Now he really wishes they had chosen a better outfit for him to die in.
Yeah. Let me go change real quick before I go die.
He could, right? He could the whole Hogwarts is his for the taking.
This was a really special moment for the trio. Hermione and Harry both know what has to happen now.
Yeah,
Of
you
course,
get
Ron's
choked up a little
behind.
bit here.
Did I? No, I didn't cry once. I did get chills a couple times. Eric at this point had like flooded the theater.
Oh, come on.
I was what's it called when you're floating in the water?
Drifting?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not. But it is very it's good acting between Dan and Emma. And Rupert kind of, Ron and Harry don't share any lines, unlike in the book. But I think it works because I think Ron also gets what's going on.
You could do like a bro hug or something.
Do they?
No, I'm saying they could. But I think
they could?
You could see they understand.
Yeah, I think that there's, I don't know. Ron has to be there for his Hermione. It's all empty. I guess this corridor replaced the moving staircases. Is that because there's portraits and everything?
Yeah, we really don't see any moving staircases, do we, in this film?
That would have been cool, though, having, like, some of the moving staircases, like, mid-move be toppled and, like, destroyed
Yeah, that
by
would be
spells.
cool.
Although, even the moving staircases could be a ride at the Wizarding World Park. If you think about it, I mean...
That would be a fun house.
Yeah, something like that. I never liked this in the book. I open at the close. It's like, again, it's just like somebody left Harry out of the, or somebody left the readers out of the decision-making process. Like, I guess it makes sense that you can only open this niche when you're, like, prepared to die or whatever it is that Harry says, but just why would you ever enchant a snitch to only open when somebody's ready to die? Like, it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, what if he died before?
Yeah, right?
Then the
Never
snitch
would've
would
gotten
never
there.
open.
Resurrection Stone.
Yeah, and this is kind of where the Deathly Hallows were put aside for the Horcruxes, because you don't really get a full understanding, I don't think, of the fact that Harry possessed all three of these things, because the invisibility cloak is kind of just glossed over.
Yeah. But I would argue even in the book it's not spent too much time, on... It almost means nothing that he did at one point have all three of the Hallows. It means nothing because he chooses not to act. Okay, why does his hand go through his mom's hand? They're not ghosts. They're actual, like... I don't know.
But it's to show that they're not actually there, I think, for the viewers.
Yeah.
That's the most important part. They're there, but they're not. They can't, like, walk in and help Harry fight Voldemort,
It's funny because Adrian Rollins, who plays James Potter, has one line where he's like, "Go get him, son." And I just always envision Dan looking back and be like, "Sorry, who are you? Sorry, who?" Because by this point, I just feel like people would be so confused thinking that Snape and Lily, were the thing, that Snape could be Harry's father. That, and they have him in the background. James Potter's just, "You're nearly there, son." Like, that's, his only line, and they have everybody else is, like, more prominent than him. It just, what is James Potter to the Harry Potter films, really? Because they cut the backstory with the Marauders. It was just...
Isn't father enough of a,
I guess, the father of Harry Potter. I guess so. I think it's that in the books, they just, Lily and James Potter, they have such a, they're famous, they're, before their son was, and it's just omitted from the film because of, time and depth, but you're right, he is Harry's dad, so.
Enough said.
How many times can Gary Oldman be, like, tear-inducing? Right? I cried when he died, I cried when he said we're in here, your heart.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
This happened to you?
Yeah. This happened to me. Always. She shares a line with Snape. This is the thing, though, the paradox of the films, which is that the Resurrection Stone is just lying in the forest. The Elder Wand, by the end of it all, is floating in the lake. The Deathly Hallows are totally... It's sequel potential, is what it is. Because they're just... they're there, at Hogwarts.
Well,
Somebody
like
just needs to...
One of the mer people finds the Elder Wand and repairs it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Starts a whole new book series.
This is an interesting moment because Voldemort thinks that Harry isn't going to show up. So there's the extra line, "Oh, I thought he would come. Huh. Okay, what next?" Then, of course, he shows up. He's got such nice ears.
I love how Bellatrix is, like, kind of in the picture, and then she looks back and then moves out of the frame.
Yeah. Harry Potter, the boy who lived come to die. This is where all the trailers for this movie start.
Poor Hagrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trailers, I loved how the trailers started here, actually.
No sign of him, my lord. He's so haunted. Rafe does that thing with his eyes that he's done ever since Goblet of Fire, where it's like they're so... Maybe it's makeup, where they're just in their sockets, but it gives the impression that he can, like, see the fear, or, like, the pain that he's about to inflict. And
Like-
Harry doesn't even raise his wand here.
Takes so long just to catch the spell.
Yeah. Oh, Vada Kedavra!
And I like this scene. This is probably my favorite scene in the film, aside from the breakout at Gringotts.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful.
It's good to see Michael Gambon playing such a book Dumbledore,
Yeah, exactly.
which I think is the highlight for me. But they do change that line, which I have real trouble understanding at the end.
I love that. I mean, we talked about that on 242.
Yeah.
I thought that was really special.
This Voldy fetal Voldemort.
Just fry it up with some eggs. You're all set.
Oh my god! What would you even call that? Quiche Voldy?
Foldy pot pie.
They said in the scene, it's one of the things. It's just a puppet, actually. But they said it stank because it's like some kind of rubber that they had to pour this fake blood over. It's just more disgusting stories
have
about.
to been responsible for creating that in the prop department.
Kidding? They thrive on that kind of stuff. It's like everybody wants to be a horror movie prop maker.
It looks very real. We actually got to see the Voldemort on set.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that wasn't special effects. I mean, maybe the movement was, but
Right. No, I think they said it was a puppet, like under somebody was controlling it under the platform.
it looked less. The DVD Blu-ray version looked less white to me, as I remember in the theaters. Maybe because in the theaters it's just so big, your eyes are just washed out. But
Yeah, it almost looks
different.
blue.
Yeah, it does. It matches more with what they're wearing.
I was going to just say that too. Why are they wearing blue? Like,
Harry's naked in the scene in the book, right?
well, no, he finds clothes. He starts naked.
He starts naked.
Yeah.
See, I don't see. This whole film was ruined for me. I was expecting that.
Well, it's
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of
sorry.
it's a rebirth type of thing, right? Sort of a Christ resurrection
Mm-hmm.
reference.
Blue is water. Water is life. That sort of thing. Michael Gambon's eyelids are blue, or eyelashes, eyebrows. What am I trying to say? They're very blue. He sounds very much like Aberforth in this line, where would it take me? And he says, "On." That sounds so much like Kieran Hines doing Aberforth Dumbledore to me. I don't know why.
It says so little, but so much.
Yeah. Dumbledore does his long walking away.
See, and what Dumbledore's saying here is Harry needs help, and Dumbledore's saying, we will give you help, but we don't just give anyone help at Hogwarts. We give people help who deserve it.
But at
Crabbe's
Hogwarts,
not going to get help.
but Hogwarts should give help to everybody.
No, it shouldn't. It
Well-
shouldn't help Voldemort.
It's a certain you're defeating your own character. You have to give in to ask for help in the first place. If somebody has that moment of humbling, of that modesty to ask for help, they should be given help, even if they're Crabbe, even if they're a Slytherin. Which is why I think, help will be given to all who ask for it is completely sufficient the way it is, and that it shouldn't need to be changed.
We asked on the last episode of MuggleCast, we asked people on episode 242, we said, send in, what do you think Dumbledore's line means? And Lindsay25 from San Antonio said, Neville Longbottom always comes to mind when I hear this line. Dumbledore makes the original statement in Harry's second year, and Harry recalls those words when he is in Chamber of Secrets facing Tom Riddle. After asking for help, Fawkes appears with the Sorting Hat, which Harry subsequently pulls from the Sword of Gryffindor and kills the basilisk. Shortly after the King's Cross scene, in which Dumbledore amends his statement, Neville, without asking for help, but clearly deserving of help, happens to find the Sorting Hat, pulls the Sword of Gryffindor from it, and uses it to kill Nagini. It's a very close parallel.
Oh, so it's that
Thanks, Lindsay.
He's like almost too proud to ask for it, but yet he still deserves it?
Well, no, just that Neville deserved the help.
I like this scene also just because of sort of the iconic lines that Dumbledore has.
Yeah, exactly.
Words are our most inexhaustible form of magic.
Of course, it's happening inside your head. But why on earth should that mean that it's not real?
Yeah, it was good to read that in the book.
And what you were saying, actually, Eric, before, I think where a lot of people got confused between Lily and Snape versus Lily and James was just in that dialogue between Harry and Dumbledore when he's talking about Snape's Patronus taking the form of a doe.
That's cleared up in the film?
How it was curious. No. I think that's where people got even more confused. Because when Harry says, isn't it curious that Snape's Patronus takes the same form as my mother's? And Dumbledore says, it's not curious at all. Because we did get emails saying, well, does that mean that Snape is Harry's father?
It's not curious at all. Duh, Harry, duh.
Duh.
And this, I know Helen McCrory said a number of times, is her favorite line from the films.
Why is she a brunette? Why didn't they make her go all blonde? Sorry, I would be remiss if I didn't ask that question.
She's black hair.
I know she has black hair, but why make why make only some of it blonde?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's like an Oreo.
I love Oreos.
Then what's your problem?
My problem is I just thought she was full blonde.
Just kidding. See, look, Neville deserves it. He found the hat. Somehow it got out there.
Well, and in the books, too, it's Harry's not the one that usually ends up killing the Horcrux. I mean, he did with the diary, but Dumbledore destroyed the ring, right? Ron destroys the locket. I think it's Hermione that destroys the cup. I can't remember who destroys the diadem, and then it's Neville who...
Yeah. So you're saying it's in the books, too, there is such emphasis placed on it has to be Harry, this is Harry's journey. I think the emphasis is primarily placed on him by Dumbledore. But, you see that so many different people get their crack at killing a Horcrux in the end.
That shot we just saw of Harry, Hagrid carrying Harry, used on a lot of billboards in LA. Then that Oscar push. And really? I think they're using that because it's like, hey, look, guys, we're killing our main character. How cool is that?
Yeah, we went there. We did it.
Yeah, we went there. Also,
that shot that you bring it up, the one thing that saved Hagrid as a character from being killed. I know whenever MuggleNet whenever he used to do polls, who will die in Book 5, who will die in Book 6, Hagrid was the favorite to die. But J.K. Rowling says it was never in the cards because she always had this image of Hagrid carrying Harry's supposedly lifeless body to this courtyard, and that it was it's tied in with Hagrid carrying baby Harry to Privet Drive.
And this is, of course, the scene that everybody references when you interview them. How much they enjoyed a specific scene. So this is the one that always seems to come to mind.
Yeah, they say that Ralph Fiennes, just his portrayal, the way he acts. This is in Maximum Movie Mode too. They say you never know who he's going to look at, like who he's going to play off of, where he's doing this thing.
Yeah, I mean, he was commanding the stage here. He owned it. This is such a unique performance that I'm not sure anybody expected. It was just wonderful.
And Bellatrix is just off on the left, acting like a fool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. I think they captured it perfectly.
Yeah.
Few things I call perfect in this Harry Potter series, but this I find perfect.
Here's Chris Rankin. Draco.
Get the heck over here.
What you doing? Come on. I'm putting my hand out. You know how often I put my hand out for you.
He's
You know how
mama's
I'm
boy, though.
Yeah.
Come to mommy.
Draco, come to mommy.
Don't forget to hug Uncle Voldemort on the way over.
Oh, it's so
You can tell he wants to laugh right there. Alfie
everybody
Enoch.
else is like, yeah.
You know, David Yates, he answered this in one of the interviews down in Orlando. He said that audiences in different countries took it differently because hugs, you know, they're different signals of gesture, a different type of gesture in various countries around the world. Of course, in America, everybody laughed. But in different countries, you know, some people took it more seriously, which I found interesting.
Why? Did he name a specific country that he hopes that we view this film in?
No. But he said not every country was laughing, which makes sense because, you know, different cultures have different greetings and gestures, and
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
yeah.
Was that on E? That he
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But that's cool all the same. I like this. The reason I like this scene, and it is my favorite scene in the movie, is because that line. Well, Neville, I'm sure we'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. He is so proud of having just killed Harry Potter that Voldemort allows this kind of defiance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's feeling nice. He's just hugged Draco. He's feeling nice. He wants to, you know, when it becomes apparent that Neville is not stepping across to join him, but to defy him, he could have just killed him. But he didn't. He hears him out, and the fact that Neville creates such a rousing speech from it is great. But I think Voldemort's pride being his undoing is the greatest moment of this film.
Andrew, not liking Neville necessarily, what do you think of this scene?
This was okay.
He's so creepy right here.
Because you're wrong. Harry's heart
Neville
did
needs
beat
to get
for
that
us.
head. That can't be safe.
That's the thing here. Look at Voldemort's face.
Look how Harry and Neville kind of choreographed that. Like they both sprung to life
Yeah.
at the same moment.
This is finally. I know when watching the film the first time, I had this experience where I was like, when will that snake ever leave Voldemort? But Voldemort is so distracted by Harry that he just runs at him.
Yeah, you know, I in hindsight, I would have liked to see the final battle take place right here, not this extra chase that we see in a few moments. But you know, first Neville gets the snake, and then you know they kind of all move into the Great Hall, and then Harry and Voldemort finish it off there. Instead of this extra thing, especially with the cliff fall and with Voldemort tying him up in the robes, this was totally just to get the film to 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, and just calling him Tom in front of everybody,
Yeah.
which was left out.
Yeah, I don't know. Harry's a little sure of himself when he says that in the books. It's like a show-off moment. Dumbledore called him Tom, so I can call him Tom. The other thing about why it doesn't work in the book in the Great Hall, I think, is because anybody, at that point when Voldemort is mortal, anybody could have killed Voldemort. And anybody probably should have. Enough talking, don't let Harry have his victory speech, just somebody cast a damn killing curse at Voldemort. Because if you do, it will actually kill him, and it will actually be the end of all this, 20 years of terror. So I think it's important that they're alone.
Yeah, and I think David Yates even brought that up when we spoke to him back in July. He was saying how you almost needed them to go off and fight because these two have been going at it, for however many years now at this point, and it just provides closure. And even from a movie standpoint, you need to have this one-on-one battle taking place, and why not do it throughout Hogwarts?
Well, it's just death also. I was just thinking death is a very personal thing. It's odd to say, but when Voldemort dies and he has that look where he's scared of what's happening to him at the very, very end, it's very intimate that it's only Harry who watches this, and it also provides better closure for Harry, having suffered so much, to be able to be the one person to kind of witness this.
I didn't like this.
What, Neville waking up? Yeah, I think all of us had a problem with this, actually. Because Neville's just been blasted into... But there's somebody else in the background on fire? Like, what?
I think it's just the way that it's shot.
It's shot in, because it's slow motion?
Yeah, and it's just kind of a...
because he looks a little groggier than he's
Hero's
And I would've-
moment.
I would have liked to have seen a battle in the Great Hall, because we really don't see much other than that shot in the background.
Yeah,
out of focus.
In the film, the Great Hall is reserved for the med ward, the medical.
And now, we've talked about this a lot, but,
Yep.
Voldemort would kill Harry right here.
Yeah.
Unless you could maybe argue that Voldemort wanted to make a show of it and do it in front of everybody. That could be a valid point, but otherwise, it just doesn't make sense.
Anybody think it's weird they're trying to stab a snake with a snake fang?
It's a bigger snake fang. It's not the same snake.
Let's pause for Molly.
This is what happens when you put actors in a room together. You just get them to have all sorts of fun. Love that.
Now, how about the crumbling and the smashing into pieces and...
Yeah, it's like two separate spells, right? One kills her, one destroys her. But the choice, and we've talked about this on MuggleCast, the choice to make Bellatrix explode and the choice to make Voldemort explode so that there's no corpse is in some ways less powerful. I don't think that's what they're going for, but there's nothing more powerful than seeing a dead Voldemort body, lifeless, right? The idea that he evaporates as he does is less powerful because then it's like, oh, he could be coming back, right? Is he part of the environment now just like he was before?
And here's the fall.
Yeah, and just before this, sort of the fighting that went on, to have the physical contact, it was a little weirred.
Yep.
Well,
they can't get physical.
That's why
Joe's lying when she said she had no problems with this film.
Well, no, that's why they cut the, why do you live? Because I have something worth living for. That was the moment where David Yates said, wait a minute, okay, now we've gone and done it. We've made
That's
it
creepy.
a little too physically close. Where it was the moment where Voldemort would have actually crushed Harry's face if they had put it in the movie. So that's why they cut it. But that was a creepy moment where they merged. But again, it sells the idea that they're so alike.
And I think when we spoke to him also, he talked about how, as they're flying throughout Hogwarts, they're sort of intertwined with each other, which is symbolic in the sense that they are for most of the series as well.
Mm-hmm.
Great moment. Both looking at each other very firmly in the eye and then shooting the spell at the same time.
They really
think
cut it
they're,
down to the...
There was another deleted scene right about there as well, with them running away from Nagini.
Yeah,
really
you're right.
short, right?
It was funny, though. She said, or Ron's like, I have to say something, and she's like, don't say anything you wouldn't say if we weren't being chased by a giant snake.
And perfect timing, Neville swoops in and kills Nagini before she kills Ron and Hermione.
Now, the thing is, now that Nagini's dead, Voldemort is mortal. Is there another spell that's fired here, or did Voldemort just lose this battle?
Oh, there's another one.
No. No, I think he's dying.
So, but Harry sends one more.
Oh, yeah,
And
okay.
Voldemort.
Now
Well, I
that
think
makes
it's
sense.
also the fact that the allegiance of the Elder Wand lies with Harry, and Voldemort's cast Avada Kedavra, so it's about to rebound on him.
Yeah. That's the undoing. I love that look where he's like looking. The cool thing is that his wand flies from him.
I gotta say, I really would have liked to see one more spell out of Harry.
But Harry's
The final hit.
Yeah, but Harry's not a defensive person. That's why he always uses Expelliarmus as an offensive.
But if he's offensive, he didn't need the defense.
And Voldemort's
yeah.
not human either, so it wouldn't have made sense for him to just fall over. Even though he does have a body in
This
the book.
shredding into paper, I wasn't thrilled with
It
that.
was an excuse to do 3D.
So
I
you
think
would have rather had a body.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, in the book, it's a body, right?
Yeah, it's a body. It's totally
I
a body.
mean, what's like? I guess maybe the question would have been like, oh, what are we gonna do with the body? Are we gonna show it, or what would dead Voldemort body look
That's
like?
the thing.
or-
Like, it's Voldemort's last practical joke on the world is what are we gonna do with his body? You know? But
Summer fling, Neville and Luna.
Yeah,
even though they don't touch each other.
it isn't gonna last. But she's like banging her knees together, and he's like, "Yeah, I got the sword of Gryffindor, and I deserve it." Dumbledore said. Chris Rankin.
Molly
Bonnie
smiling,
Katie
even though
Long.
her son just died.
Well, you know, little
In sunlight for the first time.
small victories, and yeah, it's
Glad Aberforth got it in a little bit.
All the professors there.
Yeah. Sprout's actually drinking straight vodka. That is not coffee or tea. This hug between Harry and Hagrid I love because it's like a throwback to Chamber of Secrets.
yeah. I'm glad they aren't playing that damn music, or are they?
But I wish Hagrid would have said something to Harry.
Harry's got a cup too.
There's nothing to say. Oh, hey,
They're all getting
I didn't
drunk.
notice that
Harry.
before.
Harry's got a cup. Look at that.
Poor Filch. Got to clean the whole thing up himself.
He's a squib. He can't use magic. That's the thing. That's what really sucks about it. Ron and Hermione have just been having sex the last half hour.
Oh, God.
She's glowing. This shot, Andrew, you remember this in the test screening? With all the green screens?
Yeah.
It's like the ground they're standing on is the only thing that's real. And everything else is like corridors of green screen, or like walls of green screen.
Mm-hmm. A little more explanation, wrap up the plot.
The wand never belonged to Snape. Love to be like a guy in a canoe ruining the shot right now. In the back.
Get out of the picture!
Attention! We are shooting a Harry Potter film. Kind of an important scene. Get out of the picture.
You should see, like, mer people. Like, is that the Great Lake?
Yeah, they should be rejoicing, having like a party,
Yeah.
or like a buffet, or they should have their
Mhm.
cups.
I know a lot of people also wrote in saying they were surprised Harry didn't repair his own wand, which he does at the end of the book.
Yeah, that pissed people off. Because now he really has,
has no
wand.
wand.
Yeah. But I mean, talking about allegiances, anybody who found those two pieces of the wand should have its allegiance, because the first thing they're gonna do is repair it. So. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, when he breaks the wand, you see, like, some smoke sort
Yeah.
of come out of it. Maybe that was the way of saying, like, it's done for.
Yeah.
They could have had a teaser at the end of this where you see Crab walk up and find the two pieces of the wand.
Or like in
To
Jumanji.
be continued.
Like the end of Jumanji, where the game washes up at the end, like China. Washes up on the shore in China. There should just be, like, the tribal drums, and somebody finds the Elder Wand.
And there we go, the final shot.
That's just like, to me, this scene in the movie represents the book to me, where it's like, it's the end of our story, you know?
And they're
It's just
looking
like,
on.
They can't, if they take one step forward, it would be no longer canon, you know? Because that's where the book ended.
Mm-hmm.
And 19 years later. I was surprised because I thought we'd make it all the way to the epilogue without getting a behind the scenes on the epilogue. Fortunately, in maximum movie mode, the epilogue behind the scenes is actually like 3 or 4 times as long as the epilogue itself. So they do
This
devote-
building right here is where they had the junket for Deathly Hallows.
No kidding.
Yeah, which is kind of a funny little thing. Sorry, I cut you off. I just wanted to get that in while the shot was up.
Yeah, cool, no problem. Does he have a badger? Sirius or James?
I missed it. I'm not sure.
It doesn't look like an owl. It definitely does not look like an owl, or a cat, or a toad. It's pretty much like, pretty sure it's a badger.
It's a ferret.
Fair.
Looks like a ferret.
He might have an owl.
I think this epilogue, the appearance, the older appearances, ended up turning good. It was subtle. The voice deepening was subtle.
They
but
really, really did overdo it the first time, and I think that's sort of come out since, you know, these special features and things are on the disc, but they really overdid it. the first time when they shot it actually at King's Cross.
Now, the first time, was there Teddy Lupin in there?
According to the kids, but that part, and I remember your interview with the children that said that, but no, in the we haven't. There's still not a shot that's supposed to be Teddy Lupin, very obviously in any of these special features. But I'll look for that on the definitive collection.
Yeah, the interview that we did with Will Dunn and Arthur Bowen.
Yeah, they said that in the initial epilogue there was a moment between Harry and Teddy Lupin, actually. Gotta tie my shoe because it's past 2015 and they don't have power laces.
I think one of the things that both Arthur, who we see right here, and Will said was that somebody had to stand in to tie the shoe because Dan didn't know how to tie a shoe.
Really?
Yeah.
Dan didn't know?
Oh, I think not to tie a shoe, but just to tie a shoe backwards, was it? Or because tying somebody else's shoe is a little bit different.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really different. You could just tie a shoe like you're tying your own, but it's kind of a funny. The sorting hat takes your thing into account. It's like a cheat code. It's like you're giving your kids. God, he spoils his children. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know if that was good. I mean, I guess it's comforting to him, but
I like the line though. It's like the bravest man I ever know. You know, obviously it's in the book, but it just shows that it doesn't matter what house you're in.
Yeah, Harry should have been like, "Don't worry, it's just like Pottermore. You're not really sorted into your house. It's just so there's a fair fight for the house cup."
Look at that chocolate frog animation. That must have been so cool to do
that.
Again.
I like how Albus Severus and James Sears are already hitting on the older women. Because those have to be at least 6th or 7th years in the car with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's, oh, Micah. Looks like Jeremy Piven in the background. Oh, no. See, this music I was okay with being the direct track from the end of the first film.
And that shot right there, too, was very focused on Harry and Hermione as opposed to Ron was kind of in the background.
Yeah.
As usual. Always the third wheel. Well, that wraps up our Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 commentary. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. That was fun.
Now listen to us read the credits.
I already closed out the movie, so...
sorry. Wow, Micah couldn't wait to finish.
It's okay. Jeez.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and we hope everybody enjoyed the extra flavor of information, since there was no commentary on the DVD whatsoever.
Yeah, unless you want to take into account maximum movie mode.
Yeah.
Which, the things they do, though, they edit the timing of the film, so they stop it, they rewind it, they pause it, they go back, they go forward, all sorts of stuff.
And just a reminder, all the information you need about the show can be found on MuggleCast.com. If you have any feedback about what we discussed during the commentary, just click on Contact at the top, and you can fill out the form. Get in touch with us that way, and we'll do some commentary feedback on episode 245, I guess. Thanks, everyone, for listening. From Hypable.com, I'm Andrew Sims.
From MuggleNet.com, I'm Eric Skull.
From MuggleNet.com, I'm Micah Tannenbaum.
We'll see you next time for our Sorcerer's Stone commentary.
We're starting all from the beginning.
Yes. No. Not yet, anyway. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. And we'll see you next time.
Maybe for the 15-year anniversary. Because the 10-year anniversary was yesterday, so we really got to get on that.
There you go.
There you go. Cool.
See you next time for episode 245. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.